Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Today we're going to talk about the trains to the canyon. This line was established in 1873, so stay tuned. We're just going to spend a minute here at the Copper King Mine. Then we're going to go look at the route the first trains to the Bingham Canyon Mine took. The first railroad was the Bingham Canyon and Camp Floyd Railroad, and that came in 1873. And then the line was purchased by Denver and Rio Grande in 1881. So I'm putting together my 3 Denver and Rio Grande motors, and we're going to take a ride around the bottom levels of the mine. And then we're going to go over and talk about the trains to the canyon. As you're riding Trax Red Line from Gardner Village to where it turns south at Interstate Brick heading towards Daybreak, think of the history of this route. This grade was established in 1873 when the first railroad to Bingham Canyon was built. It was called the Bingham Canyon and Camp Floyd Railroad, and it was narrow gauge. So 1873, this route's been around. Now, ore was discovered at Bingham in 1863. Finding ore was one thing, but getting it to the smelter was another. Now, this is where it turns off the regular route right here. You see Interstate Brick right there to the right. So this is the original track line from here down. Now from here, oh, here comes the train right here into that brickyard station. From here up, there's no more of there's just a little bit of the grade. So here's the red line heading back on that curve right there, going back on the original route. So that's a pretty neat shot. So let's take a look at some of these maps I have. Look at this first one. This is an 1878 map of the Bingham Canyon and Camp Floyd Railway. So in this map, it goes all the way up to the Galena and the Jordan mines, but it never did get that far. We'll talk about that. So here's another map of it right here. You can see it's the branch line, and it will share with the low grade line, and we had a video on that. And this is a Don Strack map right here of the smelters in the area, and you can see the route up to Bingham Canyon Mine in this. Now, like I was saying, that passengers and the trains only went to Frogtown. So in this picture, you can see the depot right here, and the horses and the wagons and everything's waiting. There's quite a few of them. And so this other picture right here, you can see the passenger train right here in Frogtown. Now this is all the ore from the mines had to get down to this area to catch the trains. And so they first used these gravity-fed tram lines, rail lines, and then they used the aerial tram lines. We had a video on that also. And so here's some pictures of the Frogtown area. You can see the big terminals for the aerial trams. So this is where the trains from the valley, this is all the further it made it. Here's a turntable right here in this 1907 map of the area. Now this picture right here was taken around, it said from 1873 to 1890. 1890 is when they upgraded the whole route to standard gauge. Denver and Rio Grande purchased property in 1881, and then in 1890 they converted it all to standard gauge. Here's a picture of it. It was called Bingham Billy. This is a 1910 picture of one of the engines they used. I guess they made 2 trips a day, is what they said. And then this is a lighter picture of the depot there in Frogtown. This is 1936. A couple of pictures of that. And this is interesting. In 1941, early 40s, they built these 2 tunnels, one for vehicles, one for trains. Then they filled it in, and this will be the Cross Canyon link, what met up with the Bingham and Garfield line. And here's some pictures of Frogtown later on. And then when the mine expanded, Frogtown just kind of faded away. So the trains only went to Lead Mine after this. And Lead Mine, and they went here for a long time because this is where the precipitation plant was, the P plant. And this is where they would take and put all this scrap metal in these big vats and then turn it into copper over time. Here's some great pictures of these different vats right here at the P plant. Over time, they really changed it over the years, and you can see how they're got these great big tanks and stuff what they used. So let's look at some of these pictures of the trains coming up, bringing this scrap metal. These are from James Belmont. I think this was in 1993, a couple of these pictures. So it's really neat to see this area right here. Now, part of that industry of that scrap metal was the Polar Steel Company, and James Belmont even documented that. Now, this was outside the town of Copperton. This is even before you got up into the canyon. And there's a few pictures of the Polar Steel right here where they take and put that metal in there and they grind it up and make it so it was easier to dissolve in those vats up there at the P plant. Some great pictures of them delivering that scrap metal. Then from the corner there where it turned off at Interstate Brick, it's just nothing, no more rails in here. They've just cleared it all out. They've actually put some big poles down in here and different things. And we'll show you some pictures of what's left in here. I took some videos and some pictures in this area of this old grade. So let's go up and look at this area and see what's up here now. See this James Belmont picture right here, and the Polar Steel. See it, the still's steaming right there. But anyway, this is 2020, and I was up there looking around, and they've cleaned up this area really good. It's all private property, and there's a fence, and you can't get up in here, but you can see it. I can't find a piece of scrap metal anywhere. It's just all really cleaned up really well. There was some pieces of rail still left. I saw. Let's see if I can bring it in close right here. Yeah, there's some pieces of rail right there they've left up in the weeds right there. There's also a kind of a little switch. I think that's a switch stand or something, sign. Anyway, that's all what's up there now.